What is today? February 5th, meeting of the Hinesburg DRB.
Mitch, they're set.
They set in there?
Yep, all good.
All right, all good. The only thing I just, starting the meeting, I just want to do again a call out that we do have alternate member openings on this board. So if any of our fans,
Two, right?
we still have two, although we did actually get one application in, so that's a little positive. So if anybody out there listening to this is interested in being on the DRB as an alternate, if you were in there today, you would have definitely had a chance to sit in on this meeting. Just wanted to mention that, and the rest we can wait till the break.
Let's move on to reviewing the minutes from our last meeting. If anybody has any
I have some
input.
comments. That kind of going through them quickly, and I sent them by email to Kate. On the second page where it said John S. commented, it was more in reference to that, what's the words here, is that I would like to have more information available in the future. It's less about this particular application, but it was more generally, I would like to have more information like these treatments proposed available for other locations elsewhere in the town. So that will be hopefully captured. And then on page 3 out of 5, and a few other handful of issues regarding the, I guess it was the Frost property. There was a comment about stating more clearly that the fuel company came out, but we're not sure what was exactly done by them. Mm-hmm. And then where it was saying Dick stated that there was no opportunity for continuing to sell gas, John S. stated there'll be further information. Really, the comment should extend further to say there is no further information on the status or the future of the tanks, and then also whether they should stay there given a reuse of the parcel. And then also the next paragraph down, John S. said to like to narrow the width of the driveway on the last sentence of that paragraph. It was about the stormwater, that last sentence saying that John S. suggested narrowing the impervious surface is that given the reduced level of traffic demand to and from the site, it is appropriate to reduce the impervious surface and improve the stormwater situation. And so two more, sorry. Going down to 3 or 4 paragraphs from the bottom, starting with Dick J. Asked about stormwater. There's a sentence John S. stated regarding the 1999 decision, saying that in previous decisions, one from 1999 indicated that there was a discussion about a mirror. And I think that's it. So.
And in my motion, it should say direct staff to draft conditions of approval.
This is on the bottom of page 3.
That one? Made a motion?
Yes, direct staff, and direct staff before draft. And close the public hearing and direct staff to draft. Yep, that's kind of our standard.
But not for this one though, right?
What?
This one we left open. For Frost, we left open.
Oh, right, this is.
That's Frost. Was there another one?
Was that Frost?
Approval for Frost. That's Alan Norris,
No,
actually.
for Norris then.
For Norris.
Yeah, that one right there, yep.
Yeah, Norris on page 5.
Yep, direct staff to draft conditions of approval.
And since John was on a roll, I guess I would state on page 3, the same very short paragraph that he talked about where Dick J. stated there was no opportunity for continuing to sell gas. I guess that was my opinion, that I didn't think, I didn't want to give the impression that we were grandfathering the sale of gas, but I can't definitively state that there's no opportunity for selling gas. I don't know what the regs would be. I mean, I guess there was a gas station there at one point, but so I did want to imply that I was stating something from our regs that there was just no opportunity, but.
So can you just add your opinion?
Yes, in my.
His opinion that.
Or you can say, in my opinion, there should be no opportunity, but I guess something like that. So, okay. Anything else?
Move to approve as amended.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Very good. Okay, so we're moving on to Matthew Giroux. Let's see. Lost our. So this is I'm just kind of winging it here. This is an appeal of a zoning decision regarding the definition or I guess definition of a stream. So if Matthew would like to come forward and
Where should I go?
No, right there.
Yeah,
No,
sure,
no,
that's
no,
fine.
no.
All right.
I think that Mike's pick you up.
Yeah, they will.
so if you could just walk us through, I guess what's
Sure,
going
so-
on, and if you have some pictures or whatever. That you
Yep.
wanna-
So
want us to walk through.
Mitch has some pictures here. He can blow up. So
Well, actually, let me ask, what would you like on the screen? I could,
maybe
start-
the aerial that
that I had up before?
I think you had an aerial that showed 2018 after the house was built.
All right, we have
It would be
that one?
yes. And so the house is there on the right with the long glowing driveway. And
Actually, we have the.
Laser pointer?
so long story short, there's a drainage ditch on the edge of the property that my father sitting next to me dug. Oh boy. I don't know that.
Can you blow it up a little bit, Mitch, maybe just in that area
Yeah.
between the two
You're
houses?
you're all set.
Okay.
You want me to make it larger? You want me to make it larger?
Sure. So if it's just kind of the two houses,
Showing that
maybe
area.
showing the two houses in that area, so maybe everyone can see the outline of it.
You really see it.
Yeah. I don't think that's too big. I think it's just it's hard with the lights in here. So it runs like through here, up and through here. And I shaped really bad. Sorry. I forget this. But it's a ditch that Steve, my father, dug back when he built his house on the left, and added his barns there, and he drains the horse pasture and around the barns into this ditch, and it runs through here, and then it runs through our house down to here, and then it runs off onto Dennis Place's land, and eventually into the CVU fire pond. And so it was man-made, and it's been there since, what you say, the late 80s?
83 we built.
And so now what we're looking to do is the house is 77 feet away from the edge of the ditch, so it's within the setback, but we would like to build a deck on the side of the house, and it's definitely going to run into that 75-foot setback. So we're hoping we could get it unclassified as an unnamed stream and made so we don't have to stick with that setback, because it is a drainage ditch that was man dug.
I'm just going to clarify. Right
Sure.
now, the house is not in the setback. The proposed deck would be within 75 feet of top and bank of the stream.
Yes, and yeah, it's kind of hard to see, but if it was dark in here, you would see it. It runs up to that big barn on the left, and then it just dead ends. It literally comes to a stop. There's no source of water except for what runs out of the drainage that was installed inside the horse pastures for the animals. And there is natural runoff as well when it rains.
If there was like a topographical map, you could almost see that it's pretty flat as far as where the house is, over here, like actually on the left. So there's not really like a main source as far as classifying it as a stream,
So our zoning regulation defines a stream.
Yep.
So can you comment on, we haven't been there.
No.
We've seen some pictures.
And there's some photos also of closer up of it visually.
So can you, I for one, I think we're gonna have to have a site visit.
Sure.
Probably. There are other legal issues I'd like to raise before we adjourn. But can you just comment on how what you see on the ground corresponds with our
So most of it
regulation?
Yep, most of it is a slight swale, and it has grass in it, and you could in theory drive a lawnmower right through it. It has no depth to it. It does get depth closer towards my house down there, where it's probably maybe a foot to 18 inches wide and probably the same in depth, where 30 years of water has eroded through it, and it does fit what the town's specification as a stream is. There's silt in it, there's rocks in it, but I feel like you run water through something for 30 years, it's going to erode everything else away except for the rocks and the silt. You could say every ditch on the side of the highway is a stream then, if that's what classifies a stream, is something that has rocks and silt and water in it. But a lot of it is grass, and there was a gentleman by the name of Jaron Borg. He's a state stream engineer. He came out and he looked at it with me, and there's a letter that he wrote that Mitch has as well, that he said,
We're talking about the email?
yes, it's in the email where
Yeah,
he,
at least I've read that.
so you've read it then?
Yeah,
Yeah, so just briefly, it says how he sees that it is clearly man-made, and that under his opinion, any of our construction done near it shouldn't affect anything on a state level, but the state level and the town level are different things, so.
they are, and that's one issue we
Sure.
have to consider.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
I don't want to be an obstacle to sensible development of your property. Have you talked to an attorney?
No.
And you'd like to avoid that, I'm sure.
Well, we've rather talk to you guys.
Right.
But I think they're gonna, and I haven't gone back to, I have paper copies of your applications in my filing cabinet in my office.
Sure.
My guess is they're gonna be documents, basically when you were developing this property in like 2013, 14, was it?
The subdivision.
The subdivision started that far
Subdivision,
back. The house was.
That where you guys acknowledge that there's a stream there, and at least under the laws of evidence, if your representatives are basically acknowledging there's a stream there, that's kind of an admission that there's a stream there, and unless there are changed conditions, that could be difficult to overcome. So
Sure. When
I just think how important this is to you, you might want to talk to a lawyer who can help you weave through these thickets and your prior application.
so
Can I maybe ask a direct question about
Sure.
that? Is that from the materials that we have available to us, without digging back into your actual site plan and subdivision approvals, it appears to us is that there was some acknowledgement of a stream. And that's what I just would like to kind of hear from you, your take right now, without going to a lawyer first. I'd
Sure.
be curious to hear from you firsthand, off the cuff today,
So, yeah, we
your
definitely
reaction.
When we subdivided the land, I worked with Peter when we did it, and he said, well, you have a stream here, you have to be 75 feet away from it. And I was like, Peter, well, it's not a stream, it's a ditch. And he says, well, town sees it as a stream. I said, well, can we do anything about it? And he says, no, you can't do anything about it. So we left it at that. We built the house the way it's supposed to be, 75, it had to be 77 feet away. And it wasn't until a few months ago when I asked Alex about getting maybe a easement to do this, he said, well, we can come out and look at it, maybe we can call it not a stream. And it's like, well, that's the first I heard of that, because Peter said, no, you can't do nothing about it, it's a stream.
Right, because when we were building our house, when we had our excavator out there, he started, digging in to figure out where would be the best spot to actually put the house. And the spot, based on all the setbacks that we had, that we knew about, we hit ledge almost immediately within like 5 feet below grade. And so we ended up having to get, blasters out there, because the other thing would have been to push the house more into like the hayfield, which still would have been within the setbacks that we had originally planned for, but it really wasn't what we wanted to do.
It would ruin the ag land kind of by sticking a house in the middle of it. So
this is kind of like right in the middle of when we were actually starting to build the house, and we already had our builder lined up and everything else, and so we were just like, it's not worth us trying to go through the DRB board to try to say, is it possible we could try to reclassify?
So we just
change this.
To make it work, we moved the house 10 feet deeper into ledge, paid more money to get the ledge blasted out for us, and stayed within our our setbacks. It hadn't crossed my mind at the time that a deck would impede on it.
Yeah, I'm sensitive to your plight, and it's a difficult case that I think, as Greg said, probably want to see it with our own eyes. The evidence that I see in front of me doesn't really favor the current situation of your appeal, but I'm interested in understanding more about what latitude we have and what we might see on site.
Yeah, I would love for you guys to see it on site.
Well, so how time sensitive is this from your perspective?
It's not time. It's not
So zero.
time.
So I'm thinking I would like to look. I was hoping to actually. I have your paper application from 2014. And I was hoping to look at it this afternoon, and I just couldn't because I'd like to have some understanding as what you may or may not have admitted or acknowledged back at the application, which could have significant impact for our decision, and whether you might want to consult with a lawyer. I just hadn't had that opportunity, and of course we haven't had any opportunity to see what's on the ground.
Sure.
And I'm not sure this weekend or even in the next month,
You know,
the weather conditions
Right.
would be really helpful to us in understanding what's really on the ground there.
It would probably make sense to wait till the snow is just off the ground to do
Like
so.
April or May, maybe
Yeah.
May, when it dries out a little.
Yes.
I was just gonna say, I remember when we did have the application, we kind of, if you kind of, so the actual property line, you know, it goes down this way and all that. And I remember when we had it, we said that the building site area was gonna be just in this little kind of spot here. We kind of just cut a line with Peter Erb, and I'm pretty sure it said in there that we would just abide by all setbacks. So I don't remember if it said specifically, you know, that we'd have a river setback on this side and, you know, the right
Well,
side
there's
and
always
the
a
back side.
75-foot setback from the stream.
Right.
I'm just saying, I don't know if we said specifically in the thing. I just remember it saying that in that area that we talked about,
Building
that we would, the building envelope,
Yeah.
that we would abide by all setbacks.
Oh, right, no.
Yeah, that was what was on the decision, but also did make a mention of the fact that, though it didn't lay it out specifically, it said that there was a stream on the property that also would have that setback.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I would like to continue this to some point when we can get a really meaningful site visit. But in the meantime, also, I would like to just have the opportunity to go back to my own files. I don't need anything from staff or you folks to see what you folks may have acknowledged in your prior applications, because that could have legal implications going forward for this application.
Sure.
Under the rules of evidence that
Right.
apply to us.
And I just had one other minor thing just to mention. So the horse barns that we had talked about, the ones that are located, you know, on the left part of
Let me go back
Stevens.
to the other drawing.
Yeah.
This one?
Yep. So these ones over here. So all of this land, pretty much past where this was, has been horse pasture for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
And it used to be very, very muddy back when they first kind of started using it for that purpose. So then they started putting physical drainage in the ground, you know, actually forcing all the water in that area to drain specifically, you know, over to where we've got that big kind of, there's a concrete little block in there. And that's kind of where it all kind of pops out. You know, so we kind of forced, you know, ground that would normally just kind of drain however it would, to specifically kind of take all the water from where the barns are and then kind of force it all into one spot.
Is that done with just topology, or do you have tile, underground tile that's also?
Just a couple of spots that were put in years ago, they're probably not even working now. Most of it's foundation drains from the house and from the barn.
Okay, and then just topology on,
Yeah,
directing it toward
what's on the
that.
ground.
Right.
That ditch, okay.
And in some of the photos that Jaron took and are submitted, he shows that a lot of it is just grass through there, and that's what he doesn't classify. Like right there, you can see it's all just grassy areas where the water runs over, and that he said that does not fall under classifications of a stream.
All of that gets mowed every summer.
Right.
2 or 3
You
times.
can
and the pasture
you
gets
can
mowed.
mow it easily. It's not rocky. It's not deep. There is just the few areas further down the line there where it did get eroded away a little harder.
There's a more of a slope.
One thought I did want to leave you with,
Sure.
something that could have been classified, or you may have acknowledged in 2014 at the subdivision,
Yeah.
was a stream, conceivably could not become a stream because of changed conditions, and that could be in part because water that has been going through what you admitted was a stream is now going elsewhere. And the characteristics could change depending on what happens on the property. So just as another thought to help you devise ways to get your porch out there. And I'm trying to think creatively, but also within our law.
Right.
If there are ways that you could make what is there now possibly a stream, definitely not a stream, that would be great too.
So you say change what's there.
That's possible. Yeah, you can divert water in a way that something that.
Well, actually, what you have here now is pretty much a low area. One comment I'd just like to make on the
So I mean,
pictures.
do you guys
we don't have
understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
Talking about
There-
moving this?
I'm just saying, I'm just saying maybe water go different directions. And what could be classified as a stream now because of its use may not be a stream going forward.
Well, if you looked at the topographic map.
It's just a thought. I'm not an engineer.
If you look at a topographic map, it does go down, where the stream is. There's.
So it's always going to be a stream?
It is a lower area on
And we
that.
haven't heard from the zoning administrator about that, so.
The definition, though, is it needs exposed rock, gravel, or sediment. And the pictures there don't seem to indicate that in my mind, but it's shown here on the GIS. We have a zoning decision right now, so that's why I think I would like to table it until we can visibly see it and be arbiters ourselves.
All I'm saying, as much as I hate to commend people to talk to lawyers, this may be one situation where somebody could think creatively and fairly cheaply about a way to help you out of your dilemma.
Sure. Makes sense.
Should have gone back in time and done that.
Is there any other way to build this back? Is the fact that the structure is above the setback the rule, or do you have to set footings in the setback? What's the?
You're not supposed to put any type of structure in the stream setbacks. And I'll just add to it, when I...
Footprints too. Ken.
Oh, sorry.
You've talked about that
Go
a lot.
ahead. Maybe a zoning administrator can.
I did give them the option of you could put a patio, something that's ground level, but you
So-
could not have anything that, like a deck,
Structure.
something like
Right,
that.
because a patio
Yeah,
is...
they're one level off.
surface than
Yes. Because
That's how the definite, like we don't,
right.
Patios are not considered structures.
Right, because if you consider it as
If it doesn't
what
do anything for water.
yeah.
Another option is to talk to the planning commission and ask them to amend the regulation.
well, that's not a quick option.
Right.
We're not going anywhere.
Because when you look at it in a sense wise, it's like I can put a deck there and have 2 holes in the ground this big to hold it up the entire time,
Dirt
and
below.
and dirt, the water that'll run through it and naturally filter through the earth. Whereas if I follow the rules, I can put a patio all the way up to that stream if I want to. I could have a 6,000 square foot flat paved surface running right to the stream and run all that runoff right into it.
Folks, we're all on your side. We just have to be able to do it with
Sure.
the regulation.
Sure.
Yeah.
So.
I definitely hear the regulations. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, what
So did you make a motion or
Me
no?
to be a little
Well, actually,
is the automatic 75
I'm not
feet.
sure we've
I think Suzanne wanted
heard
to say a little
everything
more.
from the audience.
I think Suzanne had another comment that she wanted to make.
No, I was just gonna say, when, I, actually, after I sent Matt one of my emails, and that after Jeremy Borg had contacted him, or made his determination, or actually Jaren called me to say that he did not, that it was not state, the state did not have jurisdiction over it, but the town.
Yep, he mentioned that in the email.
So,
No, I think we recognize that
Yeah.
so,
the lack of state regulation does not affect our interpretation of our own zoning regulation.
Right, and he told me that from the second I made a phone call with him.
I think that was the only reason we kind of came to you guys, just because we had kind of messaged him and you guys at the same time. And after he kind of said, well, this doesn't really seem like a stream, that made us feel more like we'd love to talk to you guys about it.
It was kind of, yeah. It's,
By the way, have any of you confused you with the Property Brothers?
I hope not.
I think we're way too short.
You're sitting down, so I can't.
Right.
That's true. No.
You may have a second going.
There we go.
Possibly.
I guess one thing that seems incorrect about the way the reg's written is 75 feet. This is a 1 foot wide waterway. And the reason for 75 feet is to allow the stream to meander. This is not going to meander.
I don't think that's the only reason.
It's not the other reason, but-
Actually,
Well,
the
it's
way
for-
that it happens to me, the meander potential is limited in that area.
And
But you know-
infiltration and so forth. I think
But-
there are a number of other reasons beyond that.
But I think a site visit will answer a lot of these different questions.
Can we decide on a date, or can we decide on a date to take it up, to decide on a date? To retake it up?
And that
Why
was
don't we
actually
pick a
the-
date in May and we can,
And have a site
can
visit.
react to
By
that.
then, we can do it before a meeting, I believe.
Right, what you could do is you could have it in April, May, and perhaps have a 6 o'clock site visit on that particular
I
day.
would say mid-May when the water is going to subside.
Second meeting in May?
Second meeting in May is, let me get you the date, would be May 21st.
I would move continue the hearing to the May 21st meeting.
And also, would you like to also set up a site
Yeah,
visit at
set up a
6?
site visit for that. for
At
that
6
date.
p.m.
Yep, yep.
Before we do that, is there any other comment from the public? Okay, so we have a motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you guys.
Thank
See you
you.
in May.
Yep.
That'll empty the parking lot, right?
Yeah, right.
Actually, I should have knocked that one out. All right, let's see.
Let's see, so our next thing on the docket is, yep, non-complying structure, Rob Shea, applicant.
Actually, do this one here perhaps with, wait,
So, Matt,
yeah, let me see if I could find, and let me rotate this one. There we go.
Awesome. I'm Rob Shea, and so what we would like to do is go up on the main building, basically 6 feet. Right now, there's a 1 foot knee wall on the upstairs. The red?
Yeah.
Yeah. So right there, it's a 1 foot knee wall inside. And so the max ceiling height is 6 foot, which is taller than what you got in the stairwell right now. So you have to like physically duck to get in there. There's 2 bedrooms upstairs, whole bunch of dead space up there. So we're looking to basically just keep the same roof pitch that we got here. Just go from a 1 foot knee wall to a 6 foot knee wall, and then put it all back together.
so this is, the reason for this application is because.
We are 53 feet from the center line of the road to
Okay.
right there.
Okay.
And so we needed to be 60, so 60 was like right here.
Uh-huh.
And so this 6-7 foot
Ah.
portion of the building is too close to the road. We're fine with everything else. There's no other houses that are gonna be obstructed by like a view. We basically just wanna make it usable living space upstairs so that we can have usable space.
And also you have that deck that you want to do, you talked
So,
about the
yeah, I
concrete
can-
stairs here?
Yeah, right there, those concrete steps are sloping into the house.
They're
They're
detached.
not even, so they have to go away. What we would love to do is be able to go from the corner here, there's a, entrance right there into the kitchen. We'd like to go straight across and then tie into about here with just a little deck, have a set of stairs right here, so that you could come up the stairs, go into the house here, or go into the house there. It just sort of frames in the driveway kind of nicely.
So as far as the second part of this goes, there's more mass that is within the setback, but none of it is closer to the center line of the roadway. And we have, since I've been on the board, always recognized that that is not an inappropriate intrusion, inappropriate expansion. So as far as that goes, that's entirely consistent with our prior application resolutions.
Yes, sir.
So with the roof raised, is the roof now basically gonna come down onto the, that shallower pitched to the
No.
right?
So just pretend that the addition on the house isn't even there. We're just gonna strictly deal with this main 24-foot by 30-foot section of house and just go straight up here. So this will just tie into the wall of this building. So it'll actually be a cleaner look when it's all said and done. It's a little chopped up now
Okay.
with some weird stuff. So we really want to keep with the character of the home and just get some actual head height in there so you can walk.
And looking from the narrative, there doesn't appear to be any impact on surrounding properties.
No, the closest property is like behind where this picture's taken from, but their angle is facing a different way. And then there's no one else in the line of sight at all.
Yeah, this actually, the location map can show this pretty well.
Yeah, so,
Big garage,
I'm
then.
gonna, yeah, let
Okay,
me
thank you.
come in a
Bigger
little.
Yeah.
Actually, let's go a little bigger than that.
There's actually another one called Shea PDF that was in our,
so yeah, that's the neighbor's property right there, but they're oriented facing sort of this way. Like their garage is the closest thing, but everything sort of aims out this direction.
So you're on Silver Street going south, on the
Correct.
right-hand side?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And where is this, before this is going up from the town, you're not at Isham?
No,
No, the
I should
school,
go there.
school's right here.
It's on the flat part.
Okay.
We're about like
Oh, you're, okay.
3/10,
Yeah.
4/10 of a mile from the school.
actually, what's your
Okay.
street address? again?
538.
They are .538
Okay,
miles
alright.
from.
So I had no idea that lot was that
from
small.
116.
That's a tiny lot, right?
You go
Approximately.
right by it.
Yeah, it's like a half acre, if that. Yeah, it's small. It's
You pass it, what, twice a day?
Yeah.
you
Well,
don't
realize
want to
that-
look at it right now.
You have
That's
no idea
gonna
the lot's that
hurt your
small.
eyes.
You have no problem with the application at all. Right.
Any members of the public, neighbors, have any
We
comments?
sit up on the hill when it's talking
Oh, awesome.
about. Or the Bernards, yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, same here.
So, you're opposed, in favor, or indifferent?
Any improvement?
Are you here just,
We will be improving the whole, everything.
Siding, everything, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, new doors, new windows, new siding, new roof.
Sweet.
Yeah, it all gets fixed.
Yeah, we figured it had to be an improvement.
Yeah, yes, sir.
so are you concerned about anything you heard?
About what?
Are you concerned about anything you've heard tonight?
No, I don't think so. No. We just wanted to get an idea of what would be happening down
Yeah.
there, you know?
So would I.
And it really wouldn't, what he's talking about has nothing to do with what we would
Yeah,
additionally see down there.
yeah, that was one of the first things I looked at was, yeah, their orientation of their property and,
So I would make a motion.
That's your house right there at the lower left?
yeah, right there.
Yeah, okay. All right. So
I would
if there's
still
no
make a
other-
motion to close the hearing and direct staff to come up with conditions of approval.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
So he's gonna get back to us with draft conditions, and we'll act on them probably.
Next time.
Probably next meeting, yeah.
So
Okay. When's
no
next
more than
meeting?
45 days from now.
Yeah, we have up to 45.
We have draft.
2 weeks,
All right.
which it's a deliberative session, no more evidence can be provided,
Yeah.
so we'll get back to you on that.
Well, thanks, yeah, that was super easy.
Great.
So did you buy a Harley up here?
What?
Pardon me? Did you buy a Harley up here?
Yeah,
Where?
Green Mountain.
Not down in Barry.
No.
Okay. I know the owner in Barry.
Oh, do you?
He was a victim in embezzlement case. He used to be the only one here. Very nice guy.
Well, it was nice seeing you all.
Yeah.
right.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Coming.
Thank you very much.
Happy
Nice
continuation.
seeing you again.
Good luck.
Much better to be the victim in the case, I suppose, than the perpetrator.
I don't think I'd mention it otherwise.
All right, so
Greg's client.
let's see. Do you have the agenda? We don't have a,
Oh,
it wasn't in our folder for,
Oh, it wasn't? I thought it was.
we had minutes but no agenda. Let's see, so,
Apologies on that.
oh, decision deliberations, that's what we get to do. So we have 2 decisions to deliberate on.
Town Highway Meadow Mist.
So I guess let's go ahead and start on the conditional use for the development in the fluvial floodplain.
I had 2 major comments.
It's already on my track changes here.
Yeah, all right, so,
The D is over here,
okay, great.
and
What?
period is,
Yeah, it kind of looked pretty good. I was thinking, what?
Yeah,
you know, there's
Mitch
the
said I had to come to this meeting, so I had to find some value of my contribution.
I've given up on punctuation.
A D and a period.
Well, thank you. It actually tells me that you read it, and if you've read it and come up with those 2 things,
That's pretty
then,
good, yeah.
Very important D. You never know.
although Ted usually comes up with the best ones.
Let's see.
Otherwise, I was fine with it.
Does the board have any other
Move to approve
concerns?
as amended.
Slightly amended.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, good. So, let's see,
One more.
what's the next one?
And the other one is
Meadow
the
Mist.
sketch plan approval
Oh, for Meadow Mist.
For Meadow Mist.
And we're combining the 2.
Right,
Yeah.
it will be a combined thing, you're granting the waiver to allow for a combined preliminary and final hearing.
So he still has to come back in with all the PUD,
Yes,
variant.
That's
you know,
for final.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
for
but
final.
we're combining them, so I want to be sure that all like it.
right.
The
and-
plats and any HOA information.
Yeah,
As well.
not only a class, but a list of every, property line that's not meeting the various waivers on it.
Really nice lot.
So, I just had one
Yeah, I
question
don't know
under.
if the waivers would change, maybe they would, they might change a lot with, so that's a good point, I hadn't even thought about that, but we might, the list of waivers could change a whole lot if they're changing the footprints and
Oh,
they,
yeah.
Well, every lot becomes a waiver because it doesn't meet setbacks, et cetera, et cetera.
as long as they understand that,
Yeah,
whether it's in the decision or in your back channel communications with the spies from Russia.
Well, no, it's going to be in the decision, it has to be in the decision.
Well, whether you detail it or not, to catch their attention.
Number 6 under the order talks about waivers listed in findings of fact. Okay, so that's not,
Yeah, I
That's
mentioned
not
in
a-
findings of fact 5, and then just,
Number 5 is the waivers.
that was just that was a couple. Well, that was waiver specifically for garage setback, which
Yeah.
I wanted to understand that one. That wasn't why.
well, it says waivers for lot size setbacks and lot coverage, okay, so that does cover it.
Okay.
we want to be sure that they have that complete list when they come in for that combined, yeah. Yeah, okay.
And that's what we tried to do there.
So why does making these footprint lots bring up the need for a waiver for the garage setback?
Because in the village district, there is a requirement that garages are supposed to be 10 feet further set back from the front of the structures.
And I thought we basically already waived that.
You waived it for two of the buildings, but you didn't waive it for the other three. Because, and you didn't, at the time, you didn't have to, because the front of what's actually was facing 116 was in essence the back of the buildings. So the garages were on the other side of the building, so you didn't have to create a waiver back then, which now putting in these footprint lots now creates the need for that particular waiver.
Because the access to those footprint lots is the front driveway. So what would you call the front yard of those footprint lots?
There is no front yard.
This is a whole development, well, there has to be. There's always a front yard.
There's a building, there's no yard at all.
But as the whole development, when we looked at the development as a whole, we said the buildings.
Mysteries of our regulation.
We said the buildings, we said because it was a complete development,
Yeah.
that those buildings that face 116 are meeting that requirement by,
So we were saying the back of the building was the front yard.
yes, that's what we were saying. Yep.
Okay.
And by creating footprint lots now, you can't look at it as one particular one, so you have to have that particular waiver. This is a very unusual property. It's on the edge of the district.
And it's on the edge of the property because it's on the edge of a wetland.
In actuality, this property is about as developed as it, or I should say the plans for this property are as developed as it possibly could be.
Except for we're missing some sidewalks.
Yeah, in the plans. So, I mean, it's something that, from the discussion at the last meeting, that you were looking to grant that particular waiver. So
And this is sketch, folks.
correct. So the decision is written as such. And he has to come back with an actual survey and the other things that we discussed for
This is not a
his.
trivial pursuit on his part to have to create all the lots and do all the surveying.
Whole new plat, right? So you got it.
Yeah.
File a new plat. Yep. Pay for
Move to
20.
approve.
So did anybody have any, no Ds or
comment.
periods?
No?
I'll second that.
Okay,
Right.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so approved as is. And let's see.
So is there any other new?
Yeah, let me mention, March 5th, we're setting up for some board training, and I've spoken to Dennis.
Meeting night?
Pardon?
Town meeting night?
Yes, you have,
So we don't have applications?
actually, we don't at this time have applications for that meeting. We have the continuance for the next meeting of the Frost meeting, and I have a lot of different things in the works that hasn't come in at this point. But that said, we're setting up March 5th for one of the annual training meetings for the board. And the feedback that we've gotten so far is that some Stormwater 101, maybe a little bit more in that type of detail to kind of show you what a lot of the things you see on an application, and go through a lot of that information. So I'm starting to put together a presentation, if that sounds like a good option for you.
I see from Lennar's weekly emails, there seems to be very little development activity going on. At least
No, there's
submissions.
submissions,
I'm sure
yes.
you're keeping busy.
There are a lot of people who have, we can get pretty busy in the next couple of months. But at this point in time, no, there isn't a specific agenda item for March 5th. I know that Alan Norris wants to come back for his final very soon. So that, if he can get everything together, we may have that beforehand on March 5th and then the training. If not, he might be just bumped to the, if he can't get it within the next few days, he'll probably be bumped to the 19th of March.
What do we have on February 19th?
We have the continuation of Frost.
So we have materials, you've obtained some materials, we've had.
I have
some
not,
headway?
I have not received anything new from them.
Have we gotten any confirmation that they will actually be here, since that was a request? Or
That's a
sort of
good question.
requirement?
I will be following up on that.
Okay.
So let me ask you this, and I don't want to prolong that discussion much. We've had a fair bit of turnover among alternates in the last 4 or 5 years. Has staff gotten any feedback as to how they might be utilized better or in a way that makes their service more satisfactory?
Well, a couple of them have become members of the board, at least a couple of them, right?
Some, yes, that's true.
So one of
A
them
number
moved,
have
so
kind of turned over fairly quickly, and I've never had any feedback, and I just wondered if there was frustration on their part with their limited role, or...
Probably speaking for Andy moved back to California. That was his decision.
Okay,
That was, yeah, so he came here for about 1.5 years or so, 2 years, and then decided to go back.
I
So,
didn't know that at all.
so that's a bigger issue.
Participated very well.
That's the only one I can speak to.
And actually, that's the only ones I can speak to in my time. We do have one person who has submitted an application.
Participate, let me know.
I have to miss more meetings, yeah, give other people an opportunity.
Well, I'm glad that we had 4 people tonight. It was pretty iffy on that.
I didn't sense there was urgency. I was tempted, I have to head to New York tomorrow morning early, and I was tempted to just say,
I'm glad you did.
So sorry, I talked over you, you were saying?
No, just basically, no, the only 2 alternates that I have had in my time here were Andy and John, and that's the story.
yeah, maybe I'm telescoping time, or...
I will, reminder, I will be here on the 5th.
All right, so if we do not receive materials for Frost, we
have
send
to
to
have the
that meeting
meeting anyway,
regardless. We have to have a 5-minute meeting even if he isn't ready to move it to a different meeting, right?
Yeah.
Because we have to continue to something else.
Can we conditionally continue it if we don't have the tonight, if we don't have materials, so we don't have to have a meeting just
Yeah.
for that?
Public.
No, all right.
I would assume he has to be here to hear the,
What?
well, no, he doesn't
Rod
have to be here.
Frost is not the most dependable applicant.
Well, yeah, well, that's what I was saying. I guess we have a telephone meeting that continues it, if that comes to that, right?
I'm sorry, say.
We could have a telephone meeting if that comes to that.
Hypothetically, but you know what? I think I think there is a huge benefit to actually physically being here.
All right,
I don't know how
And
good
I
it's gonna pick
will-
up on the VCAM and stuff like that,
Yeah.
so.
okay.
Yeah, and I'll just simply mention to our fans out there, we do have openings. So if anybody's interested in being part of this board, let us know. Contact me.
I would move to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you.